All right, now those are live pictures from the National Treasury. Our reporter Henry Tende is there trying to bring us up to date with everything that is happening on that particular front. And I want to engage my guest here in studio, Douglas Muhati, who is from ISPAC, and just to try and make sense of this particular budget. Thank you so much for making time.
Thank you so much.
Shukran.
Asante.
All right, now we want to get into this conversation here and try to first, it is a 3.6 trillion budget. Looking at some of the recommendations that the Finance Committee has tabled, they recommend an addition of 80.7 billion, which will literally bring this to 4.4 trillion. Let's first make sense of these particular numbers. Is it a good thing for the government or for the common man?
Now, thank you so much for the invite. If we start off, those numbers, in as much as they are presented by the government, those are Mwananchi numbers. Okay. It's the Mwananchi who's going to carry that whole burden of the 4.4 trillion. So however much they increase, it's not on them. It's on us as the citizen of this country. Because at the end of the day, we'll be so much pressed to pay the taxes, the extra taxes that they are being proposed in the finance bill, plus any other interests and loans that the government is going to take from either within the country or outside the country. Okay. So these figures, they're not so appealing to the common Mwananchi, I would say. Okay,
let me come to trying to make people understand why they should care that we have a 3.6 trillion budget and we need to raise taxes in order for us to actually finance this particular budget. Why somebody who is sitting at home and somebody who may be uninformed, why should they care so much?
At the end of the day, when they add taxes to the common Mwananchi, it is them who will pay. It's not us. It's not the government. It is them who pays the government. That money will come from their pocket. Whether you are employed, whether you are in business, whether you are just at home, you will buy goods, you will pay tax to those goods that you buy. So you have to be concerned about those figures because at the end of the day, you are the one who is going to pay. Okay. That money comes from you, not from anywhere else. Okay. It comes from the Mwananchi.
Let's look at how it translates down to the common Mwananchi. Yes. Because from one aspect, somebody will be like, oh, this money, the people that are salaried and all that, the people that are going to be paying taxes, some people do not understand how they get to contribute in paying taxes if they don't have a salary. How does that trickle down to these people?
First, the salaried people pay income tax through pay as you earn. That one is definite, that's a direct tax. And the common Mwananchi, that one who is not employed or who is not in direct employment, pays tax through the indirect tax, what we call consumption tax, that is now VAT and excise duty. For instance, the government is proposing an increase of 8% on the fuel. That is going to increase the price of that commodity. And you see, fuel is a factor of production. No sector in this country runs without fuel. For you to come to work, for Mama Mboga to get her vegetables from the farmer to the market, she will use fuel. Okay. So definitely, when they increase that the 16% on the fuel, it means the whole price of the commodities will go up. And that's how the Mwananchi pays the tax. Okay. You pay through the VAT, and that VAT comes through the increase of the prices because now the government has increased the VAT on the factors of production. Okay.
Yes. One thing that you mentioned, an important point, and this has to do with fuel in regards to the putting an extra 8% to VAT on petroleum products. Yes. How does this then get to, because people are looking at it and saying it is going to make the cost of living even more expensive. How does this, an increase in fuel prices, translate to the general cost of living?
Now, I'll use a very, very explicit scenario. You are employed right here, isn't it? Yeah. How sure are you at the end of the year they'll increase your salary? You're not so sure. It's up to the management's decision. But the taxes are definite. The taxes will increase. So whether your income increases or not, the price of the commodities will go up. You'll have to pay the additional tax. Now, for the common Mwananchi outside there, let's use the example of Mama Mboga because now that's the common Mwananchi we're talking about. Yes. Now that Mama Mboga, if we do a rough mathematics, when she sells her vegetables and all those fruits that she's selling, let's assume she gets a profit margin of 200 shillings in a day. Now, that profit will remain constant even when the prices of the commodities she's buying to go and sell go up.
Okay.
So she's forced to fork out more money to pay the taxes at the expense of the constant income. Now that's when we say the cost of living has gone high, because the income is constant, but the taxes and the expenses have gone high. So where you look at the extra income to pay for the extra cost. For example, the price of sugar. Just recently, it was around 250 for 2 kg, 250 shillings for 2 kg. It has gone up to 350. Where are you getting the extra 100 shillings? Has your income increased to cater for the extra 100 shillings?
My income has not increased.
It hasn't increased. So that's why we are saying the cost of living must go up if we have to finance this budget.
Okay.
Yes.
So then how bad is it? Let's just look at it and paint a very basic picture. How bad is it for the common people? Because, you know, we've been getting talks from the government saying you have to tighten your belts and, you know, if you want development, this is exactly what we have to do. Previous governments have, you know, given their budgets, and but this one seems to have elicited quite a number of reactions. How bad is it for this?
I think paying taxes, it's the duty of every citizen, I will say. And that's even in the Bible, in the Holy Book, because Jesus said, pay to Caesar or give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. So Caesar in this context is the government. So we have to pay the taxes to government. Now, where it comes to be so serious issue, yes, the government wants to collect money, but the language they are using to make us fork out that money is what elicits all these emotions. Okay. You've heard people outside there. The president was on record saying, I want to see that member of parliament who's going to vote against the finance bill. You saw the deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, saying, mupende musipende, finance bill itapita. You see, that's not the right terms to use if you want to get more from the common mwananchi. That's what is eliciting all these emotions against the finance bill. And if I will echo all the other leaders, the MPs, if you followed the live proceedings of the parliament yesterday, most MPs were saying that this is the most scrutinized finance bill ever. I can remember Junet Mohammed, Honorable Junet Mohammed, explicitly said over the 11 years he's been in parliament, this has been the most scrutinized finance bill ever. So it means it's like we are getting from worse to worse. Okay. Yes, you are jumping from a frying pan into the fire. Okay. But now you see the rate at which you are jumping there, and even the way you are jumping there, it's like it's a forceful jumping. You're being forced to jump. Yes.
Now, let me come back to just trying to make people get to understand, because we've been talking about why it is important to them and why the cost of living is going to rise. Yes. And somebody was saying, mimi nilishtuka jana after nimeona imepitishwa, na shida ni nini imepitishwa. Paint us a picture with the 176 MPs saying yes to the Finance Bill 2022-2023. What is it?
If you look at the population of those MPs who voted yes for the Finance Bill, they are most likely aligned to the president. Okay. And I wouldn't want to say it was the independent decision to vote for the bill. Okay. It wasn't. They were under pressure, or they were coerced, or something else followed in. For example, if you take the example of Gathoni wa Muchomba, Honorable, she stood her ground
and said no.
She came out clearly and said no. This bill is punitive to the common mwananchi. And even if she was on the side of the president, she decided to take a stand that this bill is not right for the mwananchi at this time. Okay. And so when you see most of these MPs who vote for the bill, we will say they were influenced in either way. And me, I'll take word with those who missed even to be in the parliament yesterday. just this morning on a radio interview, my MP from Lurambi was missing in the parliament. I don't know where it is, where he was. Titus Hamala, Bishop Titus Hamala. He wasn't in parliament, so I don't know how or who was going to represent me in parliament.
Okay, you're not represented. I'm sorry, you're not represented.
Yes, I wasn't represented.
Neither did mine represent me. But apart from that, let's look at whether this budget gets to address the economic challenges in the country. Does it?
I think it could, but at a very slow rate.
Okay.
Because if you look at the percentage of the development budget against the recurrent budget, development budget takes a paltry 21% of the whole budget. That means the development budget has been allocated around 769 billion shillings against 2 point something of the total budget. So it tells you the priority of this government is on recurrent expenditure, on paying salaries and doing office duties or moving around, per diems and all those. But if we have to improve on the economy of this country, we must have an increased development budget against the recurrent budget. Because at the end of the day, you will pay people salary, but why are you getting the income to pay those people?
All right, just to cut you. So we do have live pictures for you there. We have CS Treasury Njuguna Ndung'u there with his briefcase, I believe, trying to make his way to the National Assembly to go and table the the budget for the 2023-2024 financial year. They are accompanied by other members of his team, trying to show you exactly that is where that's everything that this guy in that particular briefcase is a very important briefcase as we speak at this particular moment. So there is that's where the country's budget, everything that needs to finance this this country in the next financial year, that's where all that is. What you're seeing on the screen, let's start. What do we make of that in this particular process as we try to make sense before he gets into the house?
I can see they're smiling. They're smiling. I don't know, it's because they know what is inside, or they're smiling because it's according to them maybe the budget is going to be favorable to the Mwananchi. But we don't know. They are smiling. Okay. But
they're smiling because they have a budget that is going to, maybe the plans that they have for the country, maybe they're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel in regards to this. And just coming back, because it has been championed, and you say, yes, some of these things may be, they might actually get to achieve it, but at what expense? That's the question that people are asking. If you say you want to tax people more, what do you expect them to do in the long run in regards to the cost of living and all that? Let me come to the issue of whether the increasing the tax base for this particular budget and getting to raise revenue. It is seen. Do you think, because we've been having KRA missing targets most of the time, this particular time, are we likely to see a change in regards to that?
Definitely there will be some change in terms of the total revenues that will be collected, because if you look at the measures that KRA has put in place, one of it being the e-teams, where they require all the taxpayers who are registered for VAT to have the electronic tax register. Now that means at that point of issuing an invoice or issuing a receipt to your customer, that income directly reflects on the KRA system. So that means you have no option but to declare that income. Okay. Previously, you could maybe you could choose on what income to declare based on how risky it is. But currently, when you have that e-teams, it means you are sure or you are required to declare that income that you have made. And so, together with all the other developments that KRA has put in place, there's likely to be an increase in the revenue collections, also coupled by the recent or the proposed changes in the finance bill, because the finance bill is, I will say, is where the government is expecting to get money from, and then the budget is where the government is expecting to spend that money on. So the finance bill is, I will say, the source of income, and then the budget is the expenditure. So if you look at the proposals in the finance bill, most of them are anchored towards raising or increasing the tax collection in the long run.
Okay.
So there will be an increase in actually the tax collections.
All right. So there'll be an increase in tax collection.
I predict that.
Let me come back to the issue of the deficit, because we are going to have a deficit.
Yes,
where this money is supposed to come from?
Borrowing.
Borrowing.
Yes.
But we are a government that doesn't want to rely on borrowing. So where do we borrow?
There's no else. It's only borrowing. Here you have 250 shillings, and you want to buy something worth 350 shillings. Where are you going to get the 100 shillings extra?
Okay.
Where? You're going to borrow.
Yeah.
Either you will Fuliza, or you'll get a mobile loan from these apps. Yes. So you'll have to borrow, because the nature of the Kenyan government, the Kenyan budget, or the government's budget, is expenditure based. It's not revenue based, because if it was revenue based, you will assess the level, the amounts of revenue that you have, and say this is what we have to spend. We can't go further. But now this is an expenditure based budget, so we make what we want to do first before we decide where to get or how much to finance this. So where to get that taxes is now where the question comes in, where the mwananchi comes in, because at the end of the day, you've been given the budget. You have to get money to finance that budget. So that money will come from the mwananchi and borrowing.
Okay.
And if I say borrowing, at the end of the day, it's still the mwananchi who will pay. So it's definitely 100% on mwananchi.
Mwananchi.
Yes.
And let's look at in terms of allocation, because you do understand there's been provision results in terms of what has been allocated. What do you think should have been given priority in this particular budget?
Well, if I can recall again what I said on radio in the morning, based on the number of promises that our President Ruto gave us during the campaign period, I think if we have to go by those promises, those are the things that, or those are the areas that he needs to place much concentration on. The raising of, uplifting of the mama mboga, and I'll want to believe that this ministry called or in charge of medium and small enterprises should be given a higher allocation, so that it can be used to make projects or developments that are geared towards informal sector, because it's the informal sector carries a very big chunk of Kenyans. Those who are self-employed, or those who are just doing normal small business, it carries a big chunk of such a citizen. Okay. So I would want to believe that the government will direct all their efforts, or most of their efforts, toward such sectors. The sectors of mama mboga, of boda, the transport industry. It employs a lot of people in the informal sector. Okay. So I would want to believe that the government should direct more of the efforts in those sectors that are going to give employment opportunities to those in the informal sector. Okay. And also, as a way of growing the economy of the country, you can't do away with manufacturing.
All right.
You have to invest in manufacturing. And so I will want to, I believe the government should be very much concerned on how they can improve the manufacturing sector in this country, because the manufacturing sector will give employment to the citizenry. Besides giving employment to the citizenry, it will produce more goods that will be ready for the external market. Now that's market outside Kenya. And when you do that, our balance of payments, it means we'll be increasing our exports. And when we increase our exports, it means our balance of payments will be going down, because we are having more exports than imports. Okay. So we cannot import something we are not manufacturing. We are not export something we are not manufacturing.
Right now, I do believe that we've given so much priority to education. Was this the right move from where you sit?
Yes, I believe, because there's the new syllabus, the 844 syllabus. That's the CBC curriculum. The CBC curriculum. The CBC curriculum. Yes. You see that CBC curriculum. It's like we are expecting more from that CBC curriculum more than what we can see right now. So in the event that the government is going to direct more efforts on the education sector, definitely it will be in the implementation of the CBC, because CBC started around 3 or so years ago, and it started at I think class 5 or something. So at this time, those students who are in grade 5, nowadays they call grade 5, you know, we are used to classes.
That's right.
So, yeah, so those who are in grade 5 at that time when the CBC was starting, they are now, I think, in grade 7. Definitely, there is more expectation from them. To add on that, there is that junior secondary. Junior secondary is a whole new thing. You need classrooms for those students. You need teachers, to hire teachers for those students. You need other administrative staff to cater for those students. So definitely the education budget should go high because of the new curriculum that we are implementing on the CBC.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, those are live pictures. Members of Parliament, you have Parliament live there, just waiting for the CS National Treasury. Njuguna Ndung'u, who is on his way, we see that he's being escorted, and you know, with good security, because the future of this country is actually in his hands as we speak at this particular moment. And I do believe it will be half screen in regards to as that continues, and what is happening here in studio, just trying to make sense of that, what is happening in the country as we speak at this particular moment. Now, listen, one of the issues that has been championed here in the country has been the issue of unemployment, and I do believe when the president talks about the issue of affordable housing and you know, construction of that, trying to deal with unemployment, because that has been a clarion call, and you know, championing for that everywhere he goes. When with all this, does this seek to address that particular issue when you analyze that?
Honestly speaking, and those are, I would want to say, my personal views. I think that housing levy is a biased one, because when you term those who are employed as the only taxpayers, where are you leaving the others who are paying taxes? The other taxpayers, not necessarily employed, the other taxpayers who are paying the taxes. And so by statistics, if I go by statistics in 2020 and 2021, KRA said they have 9 million registered taxpayers. Out of the 9 million registered taxpayers, 6.1 million filed their taxes or tax returns at that time. So if we go by those statistics, let's say they have maybe increased to 1 more million from the 6.1, maybe we had 1 or 2 million. Let's say it's 8 million as at 2023. I want to say it means the 8 million are carrying the burden of the whole population, 50 million plus. So when you want to add an additional levy that is not refundable to the common mwananchi, to those who are employed, I think that will be unfair, because it means you are getting my extra income to finance for the other person, when we all pay an equal share of the taxes. So what even became worse is the new amendments that were tabled yesterday in Parliament that actually reduced the housing levy. It changed the housing, from a housing
levy to a tax.
To a housing levy or to a tax. So it's definitely a tax. And the worst thing, which I think I want more Kenyans to understand this, it's they removed the capping. When I say the capping, initially they had proposed that you can only pay to a maximum of 5,000. That is 2,500 for employer and 2,500 for the employee. Yes, but with the new amendments, they reduced that rate to 1.5, and 1.5 without capping. So you can pay as much as you are earning. So if you are earning 100 shillings, you'll pay 15% is 15 shillings. If you are paying 1 million, you'll pay 15,000 shillings. Initially, it was capped at 5,000. That is 2,500. So the maximum that I could pay from my salary was 2,500. But now with these changes, I can pay as much as my salary allows me to.
Okay.
Which is
so you want to say the 1.5% reduction is not a positive thing from your side?
What makes even me doubt more about that 1.5, it's how are they going to implement that idea?
Okay.
Where are they going to get the land to allocate, and how, on what criteria are they going to allocate such lands and all those for the
And I want the people watching this particular evening, afternoon rather, to understand that this 1%, it's going to be deducted from their salary starting this coming month, right?
Yes.
Meaning
I would want to say this coming months until the finance bill passes into law, then we can see the implementation date, or when the bill or the section of the sections of that bill will come or into effect.
Okay.
So some, I think, they can come into effect on 1st of January, but I believe the housing levy will come into effect on 1st of January. Then there are those that are going to come into effect on 1st of July once that bill passes and is assented to by the president.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it practical? Because this is something. So what happens to the people that, in regards to this finance bill, the housing levy rather?
Yes.
1.5% is going to be deducted from your salary. This is on top of all deductions that you actually do make, all contributions you do make in terms of NSSF, NHIF, and everything else that is actually deducted from your salary.
Yes.
Then you're going to be deducted 1.5% of your salary to go to contribute to the housing levy fund.
Yes.
Now, if somebody, a Kenyan somewhere, has a, I want to look at these two scenarios. I have a wife, presumably, that I have a wife and we are both employed and we are working. Each one of us is going to be deducted 1.5%. What happens? Do we have two houses at that particular time?
I'm also asking myself the same questions.
And if somebody...
Is my wife going to get a different house and also get a different house? Then how will that marriage work even? The wife will be sleeping in her house, I'll be sleeping in my house. How will that even work?
Then one issue I think that is also arising in regards to the same is, what if somebody has already constructed a house, they do have that one, that house, and make their contribution, they are deducted, and yet they might not qualify for the house, right? At the end of the day, what will happen to, because there's no refunding of that particular money, what happens to that?
You see, I think when I started on the discussion of the housing levy, I told you this is an unfair tax or unfair levy, because there are people who have already bought houses, but they'll be forced to contribute an additional 1.5%. So how are they going to benefit from that? Those are the questions we're also asking ourselves. How are they going to benefit? Because I already have a house, let's say, but I'm being forced to contribute for another house. So where am I going to get that house? And let me also inform you, my brother. Let's say you are earning 1 million, because probably that could give you a higher amount of levy to pay. If you are on 1 million, you'll pay 15,000. Yeah. Roughly, one bedroom in Nairobi, how much does it cost on average?
Depends on the area, though.
Okay. Generally, on average, I will say it's 2.5 million, 3 million, one bedroom. So if you take 15,000 per month, to reach up to 3 million, how much is that? Let me do that mathematics. Divided by 15,000. It will take you 200 months to reach up to 3 million. You see? So 200 months, divide this by 12 months. That's around 16 years. So for 16 years, you'll be paying 15,000 for you to own a one-bedroom house.
No, and not everyone gets
and
to
at that
earn
time,
a million.
At that time, the price of that house will have gone higher. It will not remain 3 million.
16 years is a long time.
Exactly. So how plausible or how feasible is that housing levy? That's the question I'm really asking myself. Now, that's an assumption that you are earning 1 million.
1 million.
So the average salaries Kenyans are being paid, on average, a Kenyan is paid 25,000. Yeah. So 25,000, 1.5% of 25,000, that is 375 shillings. So how much are you going to contribute for that long to accumulate 3 million?
It is a long time.
You see? So those are the questions that you're asking about this housing levy. And we believe that if thought carefully, it can be done in a more better way. It can be done in a more better way.
So from where you sit, the thought process was actually, is it?
It's a hurried implementation, because even I think in the budget of our finance bill for 2017-2018 or 2018-2019, in the retired President Uhuru's reign, he had proposed such a proposal, but it met a lot of opposition from the citizenry, and then they allowed that to be a voluntary deduction.
Okay.
So if we can continue with that, I will say it could be the best way to go about it.
Okay.
Let's make it a voluntary deduction. Let's not make it a statutory deduction. Yes.
Let's look at some of the things that maybe
I can add something before you.
Okay.
From where I sit, that additional housing levy, it's a strategy to get cash flows. You know, when you're in business, you might be making profits, but if you do not have cash flow, you will fail. You understand? Profits are theoretical, but cash flow is the real money. So if you don't have money to pay salaries, if you don't have money to buy furniture in your office, if you don't have money to buy maybe tea in the office, you are not going to earn more profits, or you're not going to be afloat. Money is like blood. You understand? You have the body, yes. You are breathing, yes. But if you don't have blood, you'll not go anywhere. It's like having a computer and you don't have a software. You will say, I have a computer, but you don't have any software to run that machine. Yeah. So that cash flows is what the government, I want to believe, I don't know, I want to believe it's the strategy that the government is putting in place to enhance their cash flows. Just the other day, the civil servants salaries were delayed. It's because the government was broke. But is the government really broke? It collects taxes every day. It's not broke. It's just the cash flows that they do not have.
How do we convince people to take this in terms of where's the, because for this to get all this objection, then people are not feeling that they can trust the government with their taxes. How does the government earn the trust of the people in just convince them to pay even more when it comes to taxes?
And I want to say that's also another reason why the Kenyans are opposed to these additional taxes.
Okay.
We are not getting the value for our money. Yes. We are not getting the value for our money. Because at this age, 2023, June, some students or some pupils or some schools, government schools, have students studying under a tree at this age. So it tells you on where the government's priorities are. So if we have to invest on this common or basic developments, it will give us the confidence to trust into the government. But if I can see my school, since I left primary school over 18 years ago, since I left primary school, the classes that I left are the same classes that are still there right now. So how am I going to say that this government is working? How am I going to say that this government is utilizing my taxes very well? There's no proof. So for the government to earn the trust of the Kenyans, they have to invest more in the developments of this country. Make more roads, make more schools. I will want to mention my former governor, FCP Oparanya.
Oh, Oparanya.
Yes, FCP Oparanya did quite a lot of work on the infrastructural development. He made quite a number of roads. He might not have done the best, but he made quite a number of roads. It means he opened up the county to the world. And those are the kinds of developments that give citizens the confidence in that leader. Right. Oparanya was able to serve 10 years, 2 terms. Oparanya was an accountant like me. I'm not praising him because he's an accountant. So I'm just praising him because he did well, and I come from the county, so I know what he did.
You could also be eyeing to be governor next time.
Yes, but still, it gave me the confidence to say maybe another CPA or another accountant can run the county very well. And we were able to convince the residents of Kakamega to vote in for another CPA with FCPA Fernandez Baraza. So we are expecting that also he will do more than what the former governor FCP Oparanya did on the development side. Not just hiring or giving employment opportunities to many people. What are you doing to the common mwananchi? Because that employment does not directly help the common mwananchi. Common mwananchi will see the road, will see the school, will see the water passing by his homestead.
Douglas, let me ask you, when we look at this particular budget, are there any potential risks and challenges associated with this particular budget, and how do you see whether they can they be mitigated? Are there risks and challenges that you see with this particular budget?
The government is the biggest spender.
All right. Just quick as we wind up.
Okay, the government is the biggest spender. Now, the government, they just spend, although the government employees, I would say, they spend just anyhow. They just spend money because it is there. And remember, I told you this budget is based on expenditure, not on revenue.
Okay.
So you are given how much you request, regardless of whether it is there or not.
Okay.
So when you have given that, you are given that how much you've requested. It gives you some certain level of confidence to just spend that money because you've already been given.
All right.
That money should not go back. And
okay, Douglas, I think I'll have to cut it short there. Thank you so much for your time. I want to cross over to the National Assembly, where CS Njuguna Ndung'u will be tabling that particular